Roofman was directed by the great Cianfrance. You might recognize that name as the director of Blue Valentine, The Place Beyond the Pines, two excellent films. I haven't seen a new film from this guy in a really long time, so I was actually really hyped to see this, and it stars the great Channing Tatum as Jeffrey Manchester. Manchester is a former soldier and professional thief who escapes from prison, and he finds a hideout inside a Toys R Us. And he survives undetected for months while planning his next move. But when Manchester falls for a divorced mother, his double life starts to unravel, setting off a compelling and suspenseful game of cat and mouse as his past closes in. Oh, by the way, did I mention this is based on true events? Yeah, I swear, I'm not making this up. This actually happened. And let me start out this review by saying this much. You remember a couple of weeks ago when The Smashing Machine came out, and I was going on and on about how Mark Kerr was the absolute wrong choice to have a movie be made about him? It's not necessarily because of who he is or what he stands for, but it's because his life in movie form is kind of boring. We see the same sequence of events pretty much over and over and over again throughout his life. Jeffrey Manchester, on the other hand, his life story feels like it was made for Hollywood. Like, it was destiny that this movie came out when it did. And this is a real guy. This stuff actually happened. And I don't want to give too much away of, like, his fate and what happens in the story. But unlike what you saw in The Smashing Machine, Roofman is incredibly unpredictable from start to finish. If you follow the news back around 2004 when this movie takes place, you pretty much know what to expect with this. But man, I was 8 years old in 2004. I wasn't really watching the news. I didn't know what was happening with this guy. I didn't know there was a wild goose chase because he escaped prison in a very intelligent manner, and a scary manner, mind you. Scary in the sense of how smart he is. And you know, I gotta give this director, Cianfrance, credit where it's due, because it feels like, throughout his career, it almost feels like his filmography has just been heightened drama. And that's not to say that Roofman doesn't have good dramatic moments in it. But I think this is definitely the most lighthearted movie that Cianfrance has come out with. And for 2 hours and 5 minutes, however long this movie ran, it was incredibly entertaining from start to finish. And as someone who did not follow the story, it was constantly keeping me guessing as to what in the absolute fuck was going to happen next. And you know, I hate to keep comparing this movie to The Smashing Machine, which absolutely was god-awful in my opinion. But the Academy is still probably going to recognize The Rock in some capacity for his work in that film. Channing Tatum, on the other hand, unfortunately probably won't get recognized. But this is one of my favorite acting performances of the entire year. And Channing Tatum is someone I've been rooting for at least a decade now. And he's proven many times that he is capable of cranking out a marvelous performance. And there hasn't really been any instance in his career where Channing Tatum really disappears into a role. Channing Tatum disappeared into this guy. And I'm sorry, Dwayne, he did not need a lot of prosthetic makeup to do it. He was just himself for the most part. He was Channing Tatum. A lot of people might still recognize him as Magic Mike. He's very well built. He's very attractive. But the writing for this character is just so brilliant. And the character himself is brilliant. Albeit you don't condone everything that he's doing to make money for his family. But you still wind up rooting for this guy as the protagonist. Like, it's a very weird feeling when you watch this movie in a lot of cases. But Channing Tatum, brilliant in this film. I highly recommend the Academy, if you have any sort of logic in your head, please nominate this guy. And please also consider nominating Kirsten Dunst for Best Supporting Actress. I mean, she's come a long way from being Mary Jane in the Spider-Man trilogy. She was so raw and so real in this film. Her accent was also pitch perfect. Her chemistry with Channing Tatum, really freaking great as well. And you certainly felt sorry for her as a single mom raising a couple of kids who are kind of a handful in and of itself. I mean, there's a lot of really great actors in this movie. LaKeith Stanfield is here as Channing Tatum's good friend. He was really good, as he usually is. Peter Dinklage plays the asshole boss of this Toys R Us. And man, I was getting serious elf flashbacks with how gung-ho macho this guy was. And I don't even know if macho is necessarily the right word to describe this guy. He's very, like, if you have worked in retail before, you've probably met this character at one point or another. Doesn't really care about your personal life, only really cares about how the business is thriving. And I think Peter Dinklage plays that incredibly well. And I also love how they captured the time period in this. Cinematography almost felt like you were watching a VHS tape from 2004. A lot of the set design McDonald's looks like it was back in 2004. There was a scene where you see a Blockbuster video, which made me very sad. And look, this guy was hiding out in a Toys R Us for like 6 months at least. And man, they captured the nostalgia. I loved Toys R Us as a kid, and I was like, oh my god, Jeffrey Giraffe, there you are. And once again, it made me sad all over again. Because holy god, I'm getting old. But yeah, honestly, the only real nitpick I have with this movie, and it doesn't really feel like too much of a nitpick for me. There were a couple of points going into this from the second act to the third act that kind of were slower paced, especially when you compare it to the perfectly paced first act going into the second. And yeah, even though this is just above 2 hours, you can certainly feel the pacing slog in some ways. But listen, guys, that's just me looking for something to nitpick. Derek Cianfrance has done it again. I can't believe it took this guy this long to make another movie, and he is proving, I think, to be one of the most underrated directors out there right now. Because every film he's made has been great, in my opinion. And I can't wait to see what else he does. I can't wait to see what Channing Tatum's next project is as a leading actor. I really hope this guy gets nominated at the Oscars, but again, I'm not going to hold my breath on it. I'll believe it when I see it. But with the dedication that he, and Kirsten Dunst for that matter, like, this should absolutely be recognized. No questions asked. Derek Cianfrance, honestly, I could argue that he should be nominated for Best Director as well. This movie was that good. For a true story that is as ludicrous as this sounds, you don't believe that this all actually happened. And you might sit there with your jaw to the floor thinking that this is just as ridiculous as it sounds. And yeah, it is. And it actually happened. And it is a perfect true story amalgamation of genres. Crime, thriller, drama elements, comedy. That's what a lot of my favorite movies should do, honestly. And Roofman just might honestly be one of my favorite movies of the entire year. I'm going to give Roofman an A. I absolutely loved this. This has my highest stamp of approval. If you can, please go out of your way to check this movie out. But let me know what you think. Did you guys watch Roofman? Let me know all down there in the comments. What were some of your most nostalgic memories of going to stores growing up as a kid? It can be Blockbuster, it can be Toys R Us, it can be anything. But please hit that subscribe button if you're new and tap on that thumbs up as well if you please. We are on the road to 3,000 subscribers and counting. And again, I've got a lot of catching up to do. There were a lot of big releases that came out during my vacation this October, and I'm going to keep cranking out my Halloween playlist as well. Thank you all for your continued support, my friends. Y'all are the best. And with all that being said, Back Talk commence.